Welcome back inside our Fort Lauderdale studios. Jeremy St. Louis alongside the champ and UFC Hall of Famer Rashad Evans. Morning Combat host Brian Campbell also along. So the weigh-ins for Bellator 268 are finished. All that's left is to touch gloves and get it on. But let's talk about the weigh-in. Rashad, how did Nemkov look to you and Anglickas look to you as they kind of stepped up there and squared up?
Nemkov looked pretty good, but I was more impressed with Anglickas. I think that his he's a big dude, man. I mean, 6'3", with the ability to wrestle the way that he does and be able to push a pace. And not for nothing, when he's standing up on his feet, he has a really nice 1-2 straight punch. I say all this to say that this fight may be a lot more challenging than a lot of people think. I do think that Nemkov, definitely has a big advantage in this fight, but at the same time, it's not going to be an easy one, I don't think.
Heavy favorite at -550. Anglickas coming in +400. BC, what were your thoughts on kind of what you saw in the weigh-in there? It's always an interesting psychological, challenge. You kind of sit there and kind of look at the fighters, how they look at each other, how they're kind of exploring the crowd a little bit. What were your thoughts on what you saw from the two guys competing in the big event?
Rashad would know what a fit man looks like, and I echo his praise. Julius Anglickas, his body is a wonderland there. But can muscles win you a fight? Obviously, skills pay the bills here. The key, I think, for Anglickas, and you see that in the stare down, is play up what we don't know about him. We've only seen him walk to the Bellator cage 3 times. Each time he's got solid decision wins, but nothing overly spectacular. This is a almost accidental opportunity. Yes, Julius signed up as the alternate, the replacement should anything go wrong. You never know when that phone's going to ring for his, potential profit. It rang title time to face the champ in this semifinal bout. I think the key really for Julius Anglickas is to come in and don't show Vadim Nemkov just a repeat of what we've seen so far on the tape, but really seize that opportunity. I think if I look at these guys matchup for matchup, can kind of make the case then from what we've seen so far is Julius a poor man's version of everything that the champion already does well. If that ends up being the case once they start feeling each other out, I'm going to need Anglickas to step on the gas and really seize his opportunity.
All right, well, let's take a look at the fights on the main card. And, of course, you talk about Nemkov and Anglickas, +400 for Anglickas in terms of the odds. You talk about Nemkov being a heavy favorite there. And then you have the co-main event, Ryan Bader, the heavyweight champion, in the light heavyweight World Grand Prix semifinal versus Corey Anderson. Interesting story for Anderson here, champ, because Anderson is a guy who's trained with Bader. You've trained with Anderson as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good one for Anderson because of the fact that he's so familiar with Bader and the fact he trained with him. And not for nothing, he's actually feeling a little bit confident because of that training session. I mean, training is training, and you can always leave what happens in training. But sometimes some things happen in training that makes you think like, man, if this was a real fight, there's no way that he'll be able to come close to me. And I think Anderson has that feeling of something that happened in training.
Benson Henderson versus Brent Primus, and Henry Corrales versus Vladislav Parubchenko also on the main card. And we're now happy to be joined by one of the fighters in that co-main event, Ryan Darth Bader. Ryan, thanks very much for taking the time to join us here on HQ. The UFC Hall of Famer Rashad Evans here, as well as the host of Morning Combat podcast, Brian Campbell. I'm going to start by asking you about your preparations for this fight. You're coming in as an underdog, but you know Corey quite well. You've trained with him. You're at home for the first time in a long time for this fight. What have you been focusing on in your preparations for Corey?
This fight is a fight that, I do this every day. As far as my training partners are, wrestlers with good striking, so I've seen this throughout my entirety of my career. So it's not like my last fight with Machida, I had to bring in, karate guys and all that kind of stuff. I trained a bunch with one of the guys on the card now, Sully Cauley. He's an ASU wrestler, good Muay Thai. Brought some guys in, but this is kind of the fight where I believe I can win anywhere. So anything and everything. So kind of a normal training camp.
Ryan, this is Rashad. Corey's been speaking about the fact you guys train together and even saying that, because of the fact you guys train together, it gives him more confidence coming to this fight. What does that mean to you based off of that? Is it just practice? I heard you sound like Island Iverson, practice. Is this just practice?
Yeah, exactly. What's up, Rashad? Yeah, the whole thing, when you're in the middle of training camp, it was 4 weeks out from a fight, and we went back and forth, What, did he get a takedown or something during a 5-round sparring session? We went back and forth through that training session. I think he was kind of younger at the time and was like, oh, I can hang here. I get my butt kicked every week in training. I'm a gamer. I show up when it's game time. I've proven myself when it's game time. And so, if he thinks he's fighting that guy that he trained with 6 years ago or something like that, he'll be in for a rude awakening, come fight night.
Ryan, a key to your evolution and becoming a 2-division champion and really breaking out under the Bellator banner after a solid UFC run has been the evolution of your boxing. If the wrestling cancels each other out with Corey here, how do you like your chances in a striking matchup against Corey Anderson?
Yeah, I like it a lot. Corey does bring a lot of volume. I bring the heavy hands. I've knocked a lot of people out, and Corey's been knocked out a lot, and I just feel if I could put my hands on him, touch him, that could be definitely path to victory right there. I feel confident in my striking every time I try to come out and display more. And like I said earlier, it's one of those fights where I don't have a specific game plan like I had my last fight with Machida. Eventually I wanted to get Machida down. So this fight, I'm kind of going in there free and flowing. Wherever it goes, it goes.
Ryan, thanks so much for hopping on with us. All the best this weekend in the light heavyweight Grand Prix semifinals against Corey Anderson.
I appreciate it, guys.
Corey has said, as Rashad pointed out in the lead up to the fight, that training with Ryan gave him tremendous confidence. He knew that he could hang in this particular battled with these big fighters, and he plans to show that off on Saturday night. 6 years younger than Bader. He has an inch in height, 6 inches in reach on him. As you look at the tail of the tape, Anderson coming in as the favorite at -180, Bader at +155. All right, let's finish this off by getting some picks from the guys for the two main events. Let's start with Bader versus Anderson. Champ, who do you got there?
Well, like you said, this fight breaks down to who's going to be able to, get inside that range, basically because of the fact that Corey Anderson has that 6-inch reach. So in order for Ryan Bader to get inside, he has to throw combinations. He can't just do that one big punch over top to think that he's going to close that distance. He has to land with the combination and leave the last few shots for the power shots, then maybe going into the wrestling. I don't think he's going to be able to do that. I think that Corey's going to be too busy with his wrestling, too busy with his striking, and too busy pushing the pace. I got Corey Anderson in this one.
Yeah, you're going to find out, Rashad and myself and the fans watching at home, what this fight's going to look like the second Corey Anderson tries for that early takedown. Can he have that success and try to pull on Ryan Bader's gas tank and then use his voluminous offensive attack, whether he's on the feet or in top position? That's why you would see Corey Anderson as the betting favorite. He's the hotter fighter, streaking at the right moment, entering full of confidence. And obviously we talked about the advantages he feels that he's had in sparring in the past. But when you put these two against each other, I just think Ryan Bader is more of the well-rounded, proven, solid performer when you match up their skills against one another. I think this comes down for me. Ryan Bader's loss to Vadim Nemkov, it was clean, it was fair, it was a second-round stoppage. But when you hear Bader talk about the scenarios, the circumstances, he had a serious knee injury. It was during the pandemic. He wasn't sure if he turned down that opportunity in that fight, whether he would get it again. I don't think we saw the best version of him, and he paid a price in that. He didn't run away, though, from the 205-pound division. After losing his title, he ran back toward it and re-entered this tournament. I think Ryan Bader at 38 is still finding out how great he can be. Look for him on the feet to get inside Anderson's reach advantage and really put it on him with those punches. Bader, a very good boxer.
Okay, so we've got a little bit of a disagreement. And you heard Bader say it, too. If Anderson thinks he's fighting the guy that he had in training, he's going to be in for a rude awakening come Saturday night. So, okay, let's talk about the other big one. Nemkov versus Anglickas. There is a belt on the line here. Champ, what do you think?
Well, Nemkov has just been absolutely phenomenal. The way that he's been able to rattle off these fights and just how he's doing it and who he's beat has proven that he's, the cream of the crop. I like Anglickas, and I think that he brings a lot of good promising things to this fight. But I think also the fact that because he's coming in this fight, kind of short notice, even though he was training, he wasn't training for Nemkov the way that, Nemkov deserves to be training for a big shot like this. So I think Nemkov's going to get this fight, very smart fight. I think it's going to be a very tactical fight. I think he's going to have some trouble early out, but I think he's going to be able to find some leveling out somewhere in the middle of the fight and win the decision.
Look, Anglickas finds himself in the perfect spot. No pressure. Come in there, try to upset the apple cart, and do it. The problem is I just don't see Nemkov ever making mistakes. He's a very hard guy to look good against, to build momentum against, because all of his boxes are checked. He's well-rounded, he's poised, he's got that championship hunger and focus. Unless Anglickas can really gamble in there and try to make things happen with his striking, I think once you get this fight into those championship rounds, there are levels to this. Julius Anglickas may end up at this level. I don't think he's here yet, though. Not against Vadim Nemkov. Give me the champ by late stoppage.
Yeah, plus 400 for Anglickas and, of course, minus 550 for the champ. Good stuff, gentlemen. Thank you very much. The champ and UFC Hall of Famer Rashad Evans and Morning Combat host Brian Campbell discussing Bellator 268 Saturday in Phoenix. The preliminary fights on the card underway 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The main card getting underway at 10 p.m. Eastern Time from the Footprint Center in Phoenix. You can watch the main card on Showtime. Prelims will be on Bellator's YouTube channel. And for all the latest from the fight game, be sure to check out Morning Combat with Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas. The guys all over everything to do with MMA, UFC, boxing. Download and follow wherever you get your podcast audio.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.